Good morning, good morning, good morning. This microphone's pretty live. In between, I'll turn it down just a fuzz. So I want to welcome everybody who's joining us on Facebook, YouTube, and Zoom, and everybody here in the room. We're going to get started with our musicians and our first couple of community songs. Here we go.
I'm walking and I'm talking, I'm learning and I'm turning to spirit. I'm growing spirit, and it's showing spirit. I'm walking with the spirit in front of me. When I find myself in one of those situations that lead to some kind of criminal confrontation, I go within and get plugged into my friend before it's too late. Put the spirit in front of me to make those crooked braces straight. I'm walking in spirit, and I'm talking in spirit. I'm learning in spirit, and I'm turning in spirit. I'm growing in spirit, and it's showing in spirit. I'm walking with the spirit in front of me. When I find myself in one of those situations, well, I don't know what to do. I got no explanation. I go with it, get hooked in for a revelation. 10 times out of 9, things will work out fine without my participation. I'm walking in spirit. I'm talking in spirit. I'm learning from spirit. I'm turning to spirit. I'm growing in spirit, and it's showing in spirit. I'm walking with the spirit in front of me. I'm walking with the spirit in front of me. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, it's good to be here. Good to be anywhere, is it? Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti.
Okay, yeah, that's much better. Good morning again, and welcome to Sierra Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Reverend Rafe Ellis, and I am honored and privileged to be the senior minister here at Sierra Center for Spiritual Living. Again, I want to welcome everybody who's joining us on YouTube and Facebook and Zoom, and welcome everybody here in the room. And so one of the things that I get to do every Sunday morning is share with our guests who we are and what we're about, and remind us of who we are and what we're about. We are a radically inclusive, spiritually progressive, supportive community that celebrates the diversity of creation. We strive to live authentic spiritual lives through a practical application of the teachings of science of mind. We engage in sacred practices that uplift our spirit, deepen our awareness, and ignite our soul's self-expression. We demonstrate active compassion to ourselves, each other, and the world. We experience meaningful contribution through giving generously of our time, talents, and treasures, and we intentionally promote our community and these teachings. And one of the things that we do every Sunday morning to actually put our inclusivity into practice is our inclusion candle lighting ritual. And we light these candles to celebrate the unity of all people, all faiths, all beings, all life. We light the first candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples. We light the second candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the third candle for Taoism, honoring the path of ultimate reality, the natural way. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the middle way, the path of compassion. We light the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the teachings of Jesus as the path of love, forgiveness, and healing by the presence within. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle for all forms of New Thought teachings, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles of love and law. We light the 10th candle for absolute inclusivity, affirming that all are welcome and celebrated here. And we light this final candle, honoring the infinity of oneness as all creation, seen and unseen. Thank you, Rev Lanny. So now I'm going to turn it back over to our musicians for our next community song. Here we go. Chuckle. Thank you, unnamed member whose initials are Jill Wiggins, for running over and fixing my collar so that I'm more presentable. That was very sweet. All right, this is our time of announcements. We are here in person. For those of you, this is totally directed at you folks that are joining us virtually, because the folks here already know this by virtue that they're here. We are open. We are following the guidance that says you get to choose how you show up. If you're more comfortable wearing a mask, great. If you're not, great. If you're vaccinated, great. If you're not, great. We have a bead system in place so that you can communicate your comfort zone with one another. If you want folks to remain 6 feet away from you and not physically touch you, you can wear a red strand of beads, and that communicates that. If you want folks, if you're figuring it out one person at a time, you can wear a yellow strand of beads, and that communicates, check in with me before you do anything. Getting too close, shaking my hand, etc. If you're good with handshakes and contact and all of that, you can wear a yellow strand of beads, and that communicates that. Not sure what's happening with the slides, but there we go. If you want to create a physical space around you, you can grab a couple of the signs that say Seat Saver on the way in and put one on either side of you, and that indicates that. We do ask that if you are here in person and within the next week you find out that you have been exposed to somebody immediately prior to being here, or that you have tested positive within the next week, that you give me a call so that we can do our due diligence and contact tracing. One thing that is accurate in contact tracing is that you are kept anonymous. It's not about revealing your identity, it's about notifying everybody that was here that they may have been in contact with someone who's positive, because HIPAA laws still apply. So, there's that. Walking with the Rev. This is like really evolved into a very sweet thing where we've got more and more folks coming, and we just have a delightful time meandering down the path and getting to know one another and sharing stories and ideas. And sometimes we actually unravel complex ideas, and not that we get to any definitive answers, but we're enjoying the journey together, because it's not about getting definitive answers. I finally figured that part out. It's just about the journey. So I invite you to join me. I do that Monday through Thursday from 9 to 10. We walk as fast as the slowest person in the group. And that's a good thing, because I would be as skinny as a stick if I walked as fast as Roger and Linda. Because they just, it's amazing. I'm like in awe, but I'm not there yet. And so if you're not there yet, doesn't matter. Come, join us. We walk half an hour in one direction, turn around, and walk back. And yes, I have this weird obsession with tapping the wall. I can't explain it, but at the end of the trail, there's this little wall, and for some reason, I have decided that the planet will spin differently on its axis if I don't tap that rock. It just happened. Manifestation Mondays, Mastery Group. This is where we're specifically exploring this art of manifestation, that thoughts are things and that we get to create the life we want to live. And a big part of that is unraveling what's in the way. Because oftentimes we find ourselves frustrated that we're really trying to manifest and nothing's happening. That's a pretty clear sign that we are manifesting, but what we're manifesting is the belief block that we're unaware of, and those are called hidden beliefs. We all have them. It won't do any good to ask each other what your hidden beliefs are, because by definition you don't know what they are. They're hidden. But together in conversation, it's amazing how they get revealed. So join us for that. That happens on Monday nights from 5:30 to 6:30. And then on Thursday from 5:30 to 6:30, we have a practical application of spiritual principles group. And that one is just a broad, wide open, how do I apply spiritual principles to this conversation? Because stuff comes up. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but stuff comes up that I am challenged to even think about in the context of spiritual principle, much less actively apply it. And this is a place where we all just kind of let our humanity hang out, and we dance with it together and figure out how we might do it differently to make a change in ourselves and the world. So I invite you to join us for that. September 2nd, First Friday Fun. This is an amazing, amazing movie, in my opinion. I read some reviews about people's acting, and they didn't necessarily agree with it, but that's okay. I didn't necessarily agree with them. So, it is a movie based in a true story, which is based in the story of Maria Altman. She was an Austrian Jewish woman who escaped the Nazis her family's belongings, like many, were stolen, were appropriated, were used as gifts within the Nazi regime. And through her lifetime, it came back up for her to have the opportunity to go back and reclaim what was her family's. And I will tell you, her initial response was, no way, no how. I made a promise to myself I was never going back there, and I'm not. And something kept nudging. And it's just a beautiful story of how it all works out, and I'm not going to tell you that. You have to come watch. What was most profound to me about this movie is that this happened in our lifetime. This is not ancient history. This is now. And there are still things that need to be reclaimed, still. So I invite you to join us, and yes, there will be popcorn. All right. So this is our time of inward shift. And so I am going to yield the lectern to Rev Lanny.
Thank you, Reverend Rafe. Good morning, everybody. I'm Reverend Lanny Howard, and our community value for this morning is gratitude. Now, we love gratitude because it is a generative energy. We create more of what we are grateful for. So we remember to be grateful in all of the wonderful situations that we encounter. Now, the thing is, we're very fortunate here in Grass Valley to have so many opportunities to be grateful for our beautiful trees, for our wildflowers, for the cool South Yuba River, which I had a chance to swim in this week, and for, yellowtail butterflies and blooming rock roses and the changing seasons and all the things we have to be grateful for here. But sometimes we encounter things it's not easy to be grateful for. I have to say that last week, when Jeff announced that he and Julie would be moving to Eureka, my first reaction was not gratitude. However, I came to realize that it was really important to be grateful for them, moving on in their lives, because life is always about expansion. The universe is expanding continuously. Science tells us that. And so I have to be grateful for their expansion. And although I am sorry that they'll be leaving us, I am grateful for them doing what calls their heart. And that is what we're all called to do. So gratitude is our wonderful theme for community value today. So we get to meditate on that. So first I am going to ring this bell 3 times, and then we are going to do 3 ohms, and then we will go into our meditation, and I will bring us out with a spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer. Holy, holy, holy. We live in a spiritual universe. And as we remember that we are spiritual beings living in a spiritual universe, we open to that infinite spirit, that infinite intelligence, that infinite love that surrounds all, that lives in and through all. And we come to recognize that peace, that harmony, that wholeness, that unity, that creativity, that abundance, that goodness that passes all understanding, that is present. As we open to it, as we make ourselves available to it, recognizing that each and every one of us is that spiritual presence in the spiritual universe. And as we recognize that and open to it, we are open to the fullness of its peace, of its love, of its harmony, of its grace, of its goodness. And so I know and accept that everyone in this room is an incarnation of that one. And that our musicians and our wonderful minister and all of those in service that make this service possible are blessed by their realization of that and bringing it forth through their service to us today. So I recognize that this service is blessed and that everyone receives a gift from this service, whether it's in the music or the Sunday talk or just the atmosphere it creates in our own hearts. We are grateful, knowing that the good is unfolding by means of us. And so with great, great gratitude for this good that I know is unfolding in this very moment, I release my word into the law of life itself, knowing that the law responds by corresponding to this energy and makes it manifest. And we affirm this together as we say, and so it is. And now we will do our wonderful opportunity for affirmation for this week. So I will say the affirmation first, and then we will say it together. I embrace all of life, including the fuzzy, furry, and the tiny. Okay. I embrace all of life, including the fuzzy, furry, and tiny. And so it is.
Just to elaborate on what Randy just said about us moving, this will be Julie's last Sunday here. We'll be in Auburn next Sunday, doing our last service there at the Auburn Center. And then the following weekend, Julie's off to Eureka to start her new job. I'll be here at least for a couple of Sundays in September while we're packing up and letting go. And now, here's a truly interfaith song that references language from, Native American, Tibetan Buddhism, and the Tao Te Ching.
that you may see the meaning of within. It is deep. It is deep. Without going out of my door, I can know all things on earth. Without looking out of your window, you can know the ways of heaven. Oh, great Spirit, the sun, sky, and sea, you are inside and all around me. Oh, love is all, and love is everyone. It is knowing, it is knowing. So listen to the color of your dreams. It is the evening. It is believing. Obey the game, existence to the end of the beginning, of the beginning, the beginning, of the beginning. Oh, great Spirit, earth, sun, sky, and sea, you are inside and all around me. Oh, great Spirit, earth, sun, sky, and sea, you are inside and all around me.
Let's take a breath together. This might be the talk that I inadvertently, just the way I live my life, know the most about. Critters. All of them. The little teeny tiny ones, the ones that bit me on the ankle in the middle of the night and made my leg itch, all of them. Because what we're talking about today is our oneness with an element of a life that we very rarely lean into the oneness of. We oftentimes see animals as something we own, as something we use, as something we eat. I'm not saying any of that is negative. I'm saying that's how our human perspective tends to play out. And I want to invite you today to understand that animals actually may possibly in some realm have a level of superiority that we only hope to attain. And that is their failure to attach to whatever's happening here. They don't do that. Never have I been in the company of a group of animals that are discussing the rightness or wrongness of politics. I haven't experienced that yet. Never have I been in the company of a group of animals who are discussing and vilifying another animal who ate one of their family members. Haven't seen it happen because they simply live in the flow, in the natural law of creation. If you're not familiar, and it's an older book, but if you're not familiar with this book, The Laws of Spirit, A Tale of Transformation, Powerful Truths for Making Life Work by Dan Millman, I highly recommend this book. It is an easy read, it is a simple read, and it is a profoundly brilliant read. And a lot of my talk this morning is coming out of the first chapter of this, the law of balance. Why the law of balance? Because that's how nature lives. Nature lives in the law of balance. Even when the superior thinking human does profoundly unthinking things that constantly change the balance of nature. If you notice, nature and all of the critters in it keep making the adjustment to be in balance. Because perhaps that is the law, the universal law, that allows us to live most in alignment with creation, is balance. The story that Dan Millman writes, he's on a hike and he comes upon this cabin in the woods and a sage meets him there. Now, the story itself is fictional, okay? But what he's talking about is anything but fictional. And this sage invites him to continue his hike with her. And she begins to point out some things. And she points out a snowy egret beside a pond, doing the 1 foot thing. And immediately he interprets, she asks, can you balance like that? And he's like, you mean on one leg? Sure. Now, if you know anything about Dan Millman, he was a champion competitive trampoline person. So I'm sure he can balance on one finger if he wants to. So physical balance, not an issue for Dan Millman. That's not what the sage was inviting him to. She said, no, not to stand on one leg, but can you feel the balance, the internal balance that the egret is feeling? Can you simply be where you are, surrounded by whatever you're surrounded with, and be at a place of inner stillness and peace and perfect balance? Because that's what's available to us. And animals, they pretty much live there. They pretty much live there. If you're not familiar with Jack Cornfield, my favorite Jack Cornfield quote, if you can sit quietly after difficult news, if in financial downturns you remain perfectly calm, if you see your neighbors travel to fantastic places without a twinge of jealousy, if you can happily eat whatever is put on your plate, you can fall asleep after a day of running around without a drink or a pill, if you can always find contentment just where you are probably a dog. Right? I mean, I look at that, I can't do that, but I watch those two little furry things that have claimed me and Deborah as their humans, and I say it that way intentionally. We don't own those dogs. They own us. They claimed us as their own. they just roll with stuff. And when stuff is different and unusual, they find a center with it. Thor has more energy and more anxiety than any human being I've ever met. Taz, on the other hand, could give a rip about much of anything. They're siblings, they're litter mates, and they couldn't be more different. You put them in an elevator, Taz will lay down until the door opens. He's like, whatever. Thor is spinning in circles. Why is the box moving? Oh my God, what's happening? There's noise. But after a couple of times, he's calm. Now, we didn't do anything to make him calm, because there's nothing you can do to make him calm. But he finds his center in a situation that's unfamiliar. What we tend to do, what she points out in this book, the sage points out, that we tend to do is overcompensate deeper into our comfort zone than to change. Right? At one point, she's holding a stick on one finger to demonstrate balance. And then it starts wiggling back and forth. And this is what she says. Desires and attachments pull you forward. Fear, resistance, and avoidance pushes you backwards. Now think about that in terms of our teaching. Vision pulls, pain pushes. Right? And so perhaps when we're out of balance, if we remember, are we being pulled or are we being pushed? Am I trying to go back into a comfort zone that's no longer serves me, that's no longer meant for me, or am I being pulled to something new? Either way, I'm out of balance, right? Because I want it to just remain exactly the way it is. Perhaps that's not balance. Perhaps that's stagnation, right? Because think about it. If you only ever stayed exactly the first place you were comfortable, where would you be? I'd be in a crib in a diaper with a bottle. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure the first sense of comfort I had was probably there. I certainly would never have learned how to walk, because I watch little kids try to figure out how to use their legs. It does not look comfortable, and it certainly does not look balanced. And we fall down. Okay, you're going to fall down as you continue to grow. So what? So what? So what of this connection with the animal world? How do we learn from them? Well, for starters, I think we have to get clear that they might possibly, in some realm, know something we don't know. I think we might have to just first open our mind to, just because we said we're the superior species doesn't mean we are. Perhaps. And then we learn to listen. And perhaps the best listening that occurs with the world around us starts by closing this and opening these. Perhaps listening at a spiritual level doesn't require your ears. Perhaps. Perhaps it requires connecting with the energy of that animal. Because we're all energy. Right? Energy is energy is energy. And we have the capacity to align our energy with the energy of anything and everything in our environment. And perhaps when that heron or that egret is standing there on one leg, rather than just limiting ourselves to the visual experience, that while we are focused on that animal, we allow ourselves to open our heart to feel what is that egret feeling. What energy? What is the energy of balance? What are they paying attention to? What am I paying attention to? Because the quickest way to know that you're out of balance is to try to get in balance. Because everything that is out of balance is going to come up. It's going to come up. The harder it is to connect with an animal in nature, and I mean really connect with your heart space, not with your head space. And sometimes it's helpful to just put your hand right here when you're looking at an animal, to just put your hand right there and let yourself feel what's happening in your heart, what's happening in your energy. What is it there to teach you? Because I assure you, out of all the places on planet Earth that animals can be, they have arrived in your space for a reason. For a reason. One of the most beautiful experiences of my life was getting to study with the Eastern Band of the Cherokee on the Qualla. The Qualla is actually not a reservation. It's actually the land of the Eastern Band of the Cherokee that is leased back to the federal government. It is owned by the Cherokee. That's a rarity. And what they taught me in the 2 years I was there is the synchronicity with everything. And that any animal that shows up is bringing you a message. It's bringing you a gift, even if it's the dead possum on the side of the road. There's a reason that you're there and it's there at the same time. Are you willing to explore that? Are you willing to let yourself feel the vibration of that moment and be informed by it? We get really stuck in behaviors. We get really stuck in what we do and what other people do and what animals do. And if you notice, those of you that have pets, isn't it amazing how we interpret everything our animals do in very human terms? Right? We assign what they're thinking about us as if they're even thinking anything about us. Right? I'm pretty sure when Thor is chasing his ball, I'm not part of the equation. The only time I become part of the equation is when he wants to chase it again. And he brings it back to me for the sole purpose of throwing it for him. That's my part in that equation. The joy that he's experiencing is all of his own design. It is his innate joy to chase that ball that is driving his behavior. Ain't got nothing to do with me. His brother, on the other hand, you throw the ball and he turns around and looks at you like you threw it, you go get it. Doesn't bring him joy, so he doesn't do it. What if we only did what brought us joy? What if we lived with such clarity and such balance that we stop doing things because someone else expects us to do it? Because really, when I threw the ball for Thor, I had every expectation, for Taz, I had every expectation that he was going to chase it. I was the only one surprised when he laid down and went, not. Right? Did I stop trying? No. Because, see, my thinking is it's my job to train him to do what I want him to do. And how often do we do that with each other? And what if we leaned into, it's my job to learn how to support you in doing what you want to do? What if it's my job to love you even when I disagree with you? What if it's my job to go chase the ball that I threw because you don't want to? What if that's my job now? And what if I honor your perspective and stop throwing the ball? What if that? Right? Animals can teach us a lot if we will just learn to listen and be present with their energy. It's really not hard. It's really not. But she goes on to talk about this dilemma of balance. And she has him throwing rocks at a tree stump. And he lets the first rock go and he misses way left, right? Way left. And she says, try it again. You got information, right? You went way left, and it went even further left this time. Because our tendency when we change is to overcompensate in the direction of our comfort zone. And so we go deeper into what doesn't work than going to the opposite. So she hands him 4 more rocks, and she says, it's really important that you hit that tree with one of these rocks. And so he thinks about it, and he's like, okay, I have to overcompensate. And he throws, and he misses way right. And then he throws 2 more, and he misses both of those times. And now he's sweating because he doesn't know why it's important that he hit it with one of these 4 rocks. He just knows, I have 1 rock left, and I don't know how to hit this tree. And she walks him up to the tree. And she says, now throw it. And she points out, you don't have to stay where you are and make the correction. Nothing in what I said you can't go closer to the tree. But that's what we do, right? We anchor in our own thoughts that I have to make all of the adjustments from right here. And we forget that I can go forward, I can go backward, I can move side to side. Everything in the situation can move. And lo and behold, 10 feet away from the tree, he didn't have any problem hitting it. Move closer to your desire, right? Vision pulls, pain pushes. And so if we're trying to find new balance from a point of pain, we're going to go back further. And our aim is going to be off even more. Allow yourself to be pulled, even if it's uncomfortable, even if you don't recognize the territory. Because if it's new, how are you going to recognize it anyway? Right? It's new. You're not going to recognize it. Perhaps that's a clue that you're on the right track, because we're always new. I'll wrap up with this. What I was taught is anytime I'm interacting with nature, to ask, what have you come here to teach me about me? And then listen. Not here. Here. Look with your eyes. See with your heart. Listen with your ears. Hear with your heart. It will tell you what it's there to teach you about you. Let's take this into prayer. What I know is that there is one infinite, one power, one presence, one life, one source, one substance, one continuous activity of creation. Creating out of itself, by itself, diversely, magnificently, individualizing itself in all of creation. And so I know that every form of creation must be the divine in form. And in the truth of oneness, I must be one with all, with each and every expression No separation between me and the furry, the fuzzy, the flying, the tiny, the creepy, the crawly. In all other life, every human, every blade of grass, every grain of sand, one with all of it. And so I speak my word inviting a palpable relationship with every element of nature, where I experience the awe and wonder of infinite intelligence expressing as each individualized form. That I open to that impress, that communication of spirit of what it is there to teach me about me, to open a deeper place of experience, to expand as me through this brilliance of oneness, through this communication of energy. Grateful, so grateful to know that the word spoken is the word fulfilled, to know that it's already happening, it has been happening, and me awakening to it is the gift. And I say yes. And I invite you to claim these words as your own, if they fit for you now, to own them, to say yes to experiencing nature, to experiencing the divine in a new way, as we say together, and so it is. So I was going to do the same exercise Rev Lanny did, but I have something that I'm going to share with you at the end that changed my plan. It happens. I have a mind that changes like the blades of a fan. So this is our time of conscious giving. And so I'm going to invite you to go within and allow your within to inform your giving this morning. To understand that giving is the activity of circulation, and that when we receive, the natural flow is to give, and when we give, the natural flow is to receive, and that it literally is the circulation that keeps things alive. And that's what we're doing here, keeping things alive as Sierra Center, as each of us as spiritual community. So I'm going to invite you to do that. And let's say our giving affirmation together. I give this gift with love and joy from a consciousness of abundance. Divine love blesses and prospers all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Please receive the gifts. So I speak a word of gratitude. Grateful for the divine as money, the energy of creation sustaining itself in this planetary realm. Grateful, grateful, grateful. Grateful for every heart that gives through Sierra Center to do good work in the world through our Community Tithe program. Grateful, grateful, grateful. And so it is. Okay. So before we get to our benediction, I have an announcement. And was keeping it under wraps until there was actually something to announce, because the process has been going on for quite a while, and the last thing any community needs is more uncertainty. And yet, that's exactly what you're going to get, because this part of the announcement is still uncertain. I was invited to candidate for the senior minister position at CSL San Jose back in January. That's how long this process has been going. And so until I was actually selected as one of the finalists, there was nothing to tell. That's where I was last weekend doing my candidate talk there. This weekend, as we speak, Reverend Rochelle McCrary is there having her experience with them. I don't know exactly when they will make a decision. So it's a process that's in process, and at this moment, nothing has changed. Where it's just living in the potential of change. And I get that folks are going to have some feelings, even at the possibility of change. And so I am here, and I am available, and I will meet you right where you are and listen to whatever it is you need to say. And I will be as honest and open and forthcoming with you as I humanly can. I don't currently know exactly when they will make their decision. I got tickled reading their board minutes over the last year because I watched the timeline keep moving. The initial timeline was to have all of this wrapped up by the end of June. Clearly that did not happen because we're dealing with people and life unfolding. And so I anticipate hearing something by the end of this month, first part of September. We'll see. And then we'll go from there, and I will keep you informed every step of the way. And in the meantime, I am 100% here, because that's just how I roll. And so I am all in, and I haven't stopped loving you. I haven't stopped being here with you and for you. Life is evolving, and I wish I could tell you, I wish I could clearly define, because this is the one question I'm not sure how to answer. When there is a call to do something, I don't know how to quite define that in a way that lets you understand what's happening on my insides. I went down in February because I needed to check out, is this just my ego? Because it's one thing to know that a pulpit is coming open. It's a whole nother to be invited to apply for it. And so I needed to check out, am I feeling drawn to this because it's an ego attachment? So Deborah and I went down in February with the sole intentions of finding every reason why not to apply. And that didn't work. What we found were more reasons to apply, and a resonance and a comfort, and a call. And I wish I could define that in a way that makes sense, but I really don't have words for it. What I know is that everything inside of me, it's that balance thing. There's nothing being pushed and everything is feeling pulled. And all of that said, it doesn't mean I'm going anywhere because they get to decide. They get to decide. And I wouldn't have it any other way. And, it's a different process. Reverend Rochelle and I have been trading prayers back and forth with one another, for one another, which is a different process than I've experienced in candidating before. There's no competition in God. What is divinely ordered is divinely ordered, and it will play out exactly the way it is designed to, the way it is supposed to. And here's what I count on with every fiber of my being. If it is best for me and Deborah in San Jose for me to be there, then it is best for Sierra Center for me to be there. And I know can be a tough one to wrap our heads around, but there's only one thing here, right? So whatever's good for my big toe is good for my pinky, right? Because there's only one body. It doesn't mean we like it. It doesn't mean we don't have some human responses and reactions. And I invite you to have them. Fully experience whatever is happening for you. And if I can be of any assistance, if you want to throw a pie in my face, whatever you need to do, I'll surrender. You can do that. Because I love you. And I'm right here with you. And I've imagined being selected. And even in my imagining, I experience it as bittersweet. Because this is not a situation where pain is pushing me out. It would be easier if it was. It would be so much easier if it was. That's not happening. There's nothing wrong here. Right? But the call of spirit doesn't operate on right and wrong. It just operates on expansion. So, there's that. Yeah. And I will be around. I will stick around as long as people want to connect and chat. And you have my phone number. Use it. Use my email. Whatever you want to do. I will come have lunch with you. Whatever. Well, however we need to navigate this, let's navigate it together. And then do it in love. Okay? Take a breath with me. Let's stand and do our benediction. And thank you for everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's, I already knew what was happening in my life, and then when Jeff called and said, I need to meet with you, I'm like, oh, good Lord. You know, and I had to remind myself, if it's good for Jeff and Julie, it's good for Sierra Center. Because that's how it works. Thank you. And yes, you will be missed. I have to find someone else to misbehave with when Jeff leaves. Thank you, Jill, for being our usher. Thank you, Jill and Carl, for our flowers. Thank you, Juanita and Hillary, for our live stream and PowerPoint. Thank each of you for being here. Thank all of you in virtual land for being here. Thank you, Rev Lanny, for stepping in and saying, need a practitioner this morning? Sure, thank you. Grateful, grateful, grateful for each and every one of you. Okay. Something wonderful is happening as me right now. Something wonderful is happening as me right now. It is this thing called life. It is this thing called love. It is this thing called expansion. I know it. I feel it. I sense it. Because I am it. And so it is. Sing us out.